Okay, well, it looks like everybody's here. So yeah, appreciate it if you weren't on earlier. This is our what we call PQ2. So product quarter two. So this has been what engineering and product and everybody's been working on it. So the theme of this is automate, integrate, and elevate. You're going to see a couple different things that we'll go through, but uh, just a little bit like why do we do this? Uh, in software, you don't get to show off a lot of what you're building kind of day by day. It's it's very much kind of a combined effort, and we want to show what our clients, our existing clients, and our potential new clients, and everybody kind of in the IronSight network, what we've been up to and how we've been doing it. We get asked a lot, like, how do we decide what to build? First and foremost, clients. So both on the E&P demand side and service providers on the supply side. We talk with a lot of them every single day. Everybody on this call and many of the client-facing folks at IronSight talk. So we kind of all push us into what we call our product roadmap. Adam, the other founder and heads up product, kind of works that through and works with everybody to kind of get that on. The second part is our strategy. IronSight has a strategy of what we want to do. It is a strategy to build the first collaborative energy future. And that's so we take that into effect. And then the third is just to maintain and improve performance. So the current clients, the day-to-day users, we're always looking for feedback and ways to improve that. So that's how it kind of works. Everything at IronSight, just want to kind of set the table here a little bit. Everything at IronSight's a workflow. So we care about how you request, how do you schedule, how do you execute, what needs to be documented in the field, and then what do we need to analyze and where do we need to integrate that data to. So this one in the Automate, Integrate, and Elevate event, we're going to talk about SCADA automation. So Matt Wagner, he works in the engineering side and the product side and has kind of owned this segment, and he's going to show you a very detailed workflow on fluid haul. But I'll set the tone a little bit how that can be elsewhere. So secondly, Adam, he's going to go over on the service provider. So looks like we have a really good mix of demand and supply on the call. So you can see what happens and how they could use it, but specifically for service providers, how you can upgrade from a guest account and go to pro and some of the features and benefits, and then do that. So as you all know, we have a demand side and a guest and a supply side on the network, and they both use the platform in different ways. And then lastly, Steven Visser, he's going to kind of wrap it all together and talk about how we can integrate into many different systems, talk a lot about what we've been up to in the last quarter. We've integrated into a ton of new systems and kind of doubling down on a lot of existing ones. So that's really important for everybody to understand. That's the table. That's where we're set. Cohen, our marketing manager, he's on the call, kind of sets this all up, and he wants us to be more engaged. So we got chat, highly encourage it. I'll be monitoring the chat and kind of directing where that needs to go. We have some polls. Really, truly do want your guys' feedback. What can be better? And then polls about the product itself. It helps what steers on what we're going to work on next, and then connect directly. I think everybody knows how to reach out to IronSight. If it's from myself to Adam to your customer success and then sales folks, it's really important if you need to connect directly. Okay, so automated request being the most important. We've determined that. So we have multiple different ways of how to get requests into IronSight. We're going to show you a couple different ways to think outside the box or think how you could use it. And then we're going to show you a very detailed workflow for fluid haul and moving produced water, let it be in the Permian or in South Saskatchewan. But I want to challenge everybody to understand, how it could work in a different way. And I'll set the table a little bit here. By now, this might be annoying. We talk about the 5 steps, but the 3 different ways how we kind of get these steps to get the workflow going. We're going to start with request. So obviously we have the IronSight app, who, what, where, when, why, and it can be configured to whatever if you're a service provider and you want to bring on one of your clients, it can be configured differently. If you're a demand side, you by now probably know we can kind of configure it differently, and each request can have some different. SCADA, that's a big one. You'll see that today. How we can integrate a bunch of different, not just fluid, but kind of anything out in the field to kind of put it into the workflow and get work done. And then integrations. Steven's going to talk a lot about that and existing systems that we do. But I would say the last 2 have really kind of taken over, and you'll see that they predominantly, a lot of our jobs are coming in from different sources other than our app, which is great, which means that we kind of are solving a bunch of different problems for everybody else. So that's the step. Okay, SCADA specifically. So for this example, tank levels, you'll see, Matt, it's a We're so proud of what we've been able to do with sensors and kind of how SCADA has been working. But think about it for other clients have it. So if a compressor station trips on electrical overload, creates a job, you could dispatch it or schedule it out to the closest electrician, and we'll show you guys all about that. Pumping units is a big one that's happening lots now. Just kind of getting that direct feedback right from site and being able to service that. So there they are into the workflow, those three, push them through. I just, again, I'm going to challenge everybody to think outside the box here, but we'll show you how it works predominantly for fluid. And we have a really good solution, and we'll see where it goes from there. So I'm going to kick it over to Matt Wagner. He's going to work you through the SCADA automation and fluid workflow for you guys.
Right on, thanks, Sean. So yeah, if you're using a SCADA system like Signet or Ignition, we can now hook that up directly to IronSight. This allows us to not only see like live SCADA information directly in Dispatch Hub, but we can also automate job creation. So we're going to look at an example workflow. There's three parts. There's data being generated and captured in SCADA, and that's being pushed into IronSight. We have jobs being automatically requested, scheduled, and assigned. And then afterwards, after the work is completed, IronSight's able to verify the work and automatically approve the job. So let's dive into it. I'm going to share my screen here. Desktop. There we go. Cool. So here I'm in the IronSight admin portal. I have a generic oil co. That's my company. So if we click on my organization, we have a new sensors tab. And if you go and check out all the sensors, you're going to see we have a whole lot of data coming in. So getting your sensor information from SCADA to IronSight is super easy. We'll just give you credentials and an endpoint and tell you where to plug those things in, where to hook it up. As soon as you do that, all this data is just going to start coming into IronSight. So we can see I have a whole list of sensors here. And you can see we have like live sensor levels. So these are tank level readings. And so you can see we have a spark line here, and it's kind of showing just the rising tank levels over time. So we have real data coming in, and now we just need to make it available in Dispatch Hub. So the way we do that is we just have to associate a sensor with a location. So I'm just going to pick one here. I'm going to pick device number 7, and I've conveniently named my locations to be water tank number 7. All right, so that's really all we have to do. All these extra fields here are optional, but I'm just going to change the maximum value of my tank. This is just going to make our charts look a little bit nicer. I'm going to say it's like 12 feet tall. And then we have a conversion factor, and so this is used to convert the fluid height in feet into volume in barrels. So this is going to come in handy later when we want to create a job for a certain number of barrels of fluid. So I'll hit save, and that's all there is to it. If we jump now over to Dispatch Hub on the map, if we find, which one was that, tank number 7, we see there's a new sensors tab here. So if we click on that, you're going to start to see we have a chart. And this is the SCADA data that's coming in to IronSight. We can see the actual tank level as it's rising over time. You can kind of see there's a bit of a time range here. It's looking back all the way to June 6th and kind of looking forward to June 15th, the end of the week. We can also zoom this out a little bit if we want to get a broader picture of what's going on, kind of the trends within this tank, see how quickly it's filling up. We can change that to 30 days and kind of see how it has changed over time. So that's super, super useful. We can also see kind of the exact reading level and the estimated volume. So that's going to be super helpful for creating jobs, but this is going to be even more useful once we start automatically creating jobs using this data. So we're going to do that. We're going to jump back over to the admin portal, find sensor number 7, and this time we're going to create a trigger. So a trigger is a kind of a combination of a threshold and a job. So the threshold is what criteria do we want to be met in order to create the job? So in this case, we're dealing with tank levels, and we're dealing with volume in barrels. So what this is saying is I want 150 barrels. When we've detected that, we're going to create a job. And when we're looking for those 150 barrels, we're going to be looking 7 days into the future to see when we're going to reach that point. So of course, all this is customizable, but I'm just going to leave it as the default for now. And then so now we come to the job request details. So I'm just going to put in my hub. Then you're going to see we have a whole bunch of fields here to fill out. A lot of these are going to feel very familiar. They're from a typical IronSight job. So this is effectively going to become like a template for what kind of job we want to create. So I expect this job to take about an hour, 150 barrels. We can associate tags with this job. So it's going to by default tag it with the sensor that created the job, but I can add my own as well. I'm going to add automation here. We can specify the division that owns the job. So I'm going to pick my North division. Can set up some cost centers for billing. The activity that we want to be done is we want somebody to haul fluid. I'll set myself up here as the customer. That way I get all the notifications for it. Now the inventory type we're dealing with is going to be fluid water. Pickup location. We already established that was tank number 7. And I can specify where we want them to haul this fluid to. So I'm going to pick disposal here. And then kind of last but not least, we have the ability to specify what service provider we want to handle this. So this is going to be really useful if you have like maybe a preferred vendor that handles a specific region. I'm just going to go ahead and pick Matt's Trucking Co. Hit save. Cool. So that is it. That is all there is to it. You'll see now there's a trigger on our sensor, and it's configured for 150 barrels, and it's looking ahead into the future, 7 days, and it's currently in a monitoring state. So what this means is it's just waiting around for new sensor readings to come in. And as it comes in, it's kind of like recalculating those projections, figuring out when that tank's gonna be reaching that 150 barrel threshold. And at that point, it's gonna create a job with the fields that we just specified. So now let's go back into Dispatch Hub, and let's see if our chart has been updated. All right, so if we jump back over to the Sensors tab, we can see that our chart looks a little bit different. I'm just going to zoom it in case anyone can't see it on the screen share here. So we have that dark purple region. That was our actual sensor readings over time. You can see we have this red line for today. And then we see this light purple region kind of showing us what our projection is and at what point we're going to reach that threshold of 150 barrels. And right at that mark, we see a blue line indicating where our job is being created. So we see it's already created a job for us, job 255273. And as you may have seen, if we switch over to the jobs tab, there is a new requested job showing up at this location. And if we look at the details there, we can see all those details that I specified in the admin portal. So I'm the customer there. It's a fluid hauling job, hauling 150 barrels. There's our drop-off location. There's our cost centers, our tags. All the information that we specified is here. This is just a regular, ordinary IronSight job. The biggest difference is that it was actually created by our prediction service. And so this is going to be monitoring those the rising tank levels. And as the flow rate changes over time, it's actually going to be like rescheduling the job, either moving it forward or backward. So we hit that expected threshold value. So now the next thing to do is the work would get completed, and then we'd need to approve it. I'm not going to wait around for this work to be completed. I'm just going to show you what an already completed job looks like. We jump over to the jobs tab and look at a approved job. So this is one that got approved earlier this morning. This was again created by our prediction service. And if we scroll down and look at the audit log here, we can see, a whole bunch of work happened. It was created by the prediction service. It was activated. It was completed. And then eventually it got submitted for approval. And then if you pay attention to the timestamps here, you see 9/29. That's when it was submitted for approval. And pretty much instantly, it was approved by the IronSight service account. So this service account, this is a part of an integration, an auto approval integration. So this is going to, whenever a job gets submitted for approval, it's going to look at that job and it's going to look at a bunch of criteria, see if that job meets that criteria, determine whether or not it can auto approve it. So it could look at a bunch of different things. It might look at the line items to make sure you're using the expected service charges or rates. It might look at the job start and end times. It might look at geolocation events to make sure the worker actually visited the pickup and the destination locations. If you have meters at the disposal site, we could verify the quantities that were delivered. As you can see in this example, if we scroll down, there's actually a comment here by our prediction service where it detected an unloading event. So it knows that we dropped off the expected amount of fluid at the right location. We could also look at the SCADA data again, because if you picked up 150 barrels, we'll see a drop in the tank level of approximately 150 barrels. So we can use all that information to start auto approving jobs. If the job didn't get auto approved, you would see a message here kind of explaining what criteria were missed. But because this was approved, we keep it nice and simple. So yeah, in summary, the SCADA automation allows jobs to get created quicker and more accurately. And our auto approval means that service providers can get their jobs approved and paid quicker. So if you're excited about using SCADA in IronSight or just workflow automations in general, make sure you let us know, reach out, or connect with your IronSight rep.
Okay, hey everyone, my name's Adam Jessam. I'm one of the co-founders of IronSight. I work a lot with the supply side that's on IronSight. And I'm here to talk about two enhancements we've made to our IronSight Pro plan, which is built for suppliers. So this table here gives you just a quick comparison of the guest plan and how it compares with the Pro plan. So I think most of the suppliers that are attending today are already on IronSight and they would be on this guest plan. So let's start by just explaining what the guest supplier is. So just with a quick definition here, it's a field service provider who is required to use IronSight with one of their clients, and they're currently on a free client-sponsored plan. So they only have access to our basic features. So let's look what happens when a guest wants to upgrade to our Pro plan. So you're probably here if you're a guest. So you're working with one client, and when you want to convert to Pro, you'll be broken out from that, and then you'll be upgraded. You'll still be able to work with that original client that you onboarded you, but you'll also be able to connect and work with other clients in IronSight's network. So in summary, you've started up here working with one customer, and then after upgrading to Pro, you're now working with multiple customers. And the beauty of that is you're able to see all of your jobs and all of your team in one place. You'd also unlock 4 other really great features. So you'll have simplified ticketing and invoicing features, digital safety and inspection forms, real-time analytics, and very soon the ability to add guest requesters and approvers into the system. So today we'd like to demo a couple of enhancements we've specifically made to the ticketing and invoicing portion, which is a digital signature and the ability to bulk download PDFs. So yeah, with the Pro plan, you'll be able to ensure that tickets are properly costed. You can add line items to jobs from your price book, and there's no chance of those tickets being lost. You'll be able to capture digital field signatures from your clients. No more hunting down thousands of tickets, scanning them, rekeying that information into 2 or 3 different financial systems. On a Pro plan, you'll be able to quickly batch up jobs together and get them quickly into your invoicing and AP systems. So we found that this will reduce the time spent per ticket by about 83%. I've just got a little call out there about a new button on that batch screen there, which allows you to download all of the job PDFs in that batch at once. Instead of filling out paper safety forms, you'll be able to fill out your JSAs and other inspection forms digitally right on the IronSight jobs. And finally, instead of maintaining spreadsheets and doing hours of manual data entry for your reporting, on the Pro plan, your reporting will be automated with real-time analytics dashboards. Yeah, so enough of the slides. We'll give you a quick demo here. So I'm just going to pull up Dispatch Hub. So this is our web app used by coordinators. And I'm also going to bring up my phone here on the right, which will show you the driver's experience. So when you upgrade to the Pro plan, the first change. Yeah.
Sounds like we are only seeing the top left quarter of the screen for this presenter. So
Let me try again here.
How's that? Everybody fire in a, that's better.
Okay. Okay, so on the left-hand side, I have Dispatch Hub open. So this is where coordinators are managing work in their team. And on the right, I just have my mobile app open and I'm logged in as a driver. So the first change you'll probably notice is when I click New Job, Pro companies are able to work with many companies, not just one. So we'll choose from these multiple clients or add a new one. So you'll see a list of all of the companies that you can connect with. If you can't find it, like let's say I'm working with a company called Koala Energy, and they just gave me a call saying that they want some tubing delivered. I would search the IronSight network for that customer. I can't find them yet, or they don't exist yet, so let's create them. So I've created Koala Energy. I can type in their address here, and then immediately save and start creating jobs for this new client. So let's just say it is this requester. It's a hot shot that will be doing a delivery. Because this is a new client, you'll notice the locations are empty at first. So let's just drop a new location on the map here. Right around there. Let's just call this Koala Well 1. Or how about Sherwood Pipe Yard. This is a yard location. Hit save. So I've got one location created there, and we need to move some tubing there. So let's put in that we're moving some tubing, 12 joints. And now let's add another location for the well that we're delivering to. So again, I'll pull up this little mini map and create a new location. So this would be Koala Well 1. It is a well location type. So these locations you just created will be available when you're creating jobs for that client next time. We can put in some special instructions down here as usual and hit save. If you want your field worker to fill out a safety form on this job, you can set that up here where you say, I want them to fill out a JSA on this job before they're done. That is another Pro feature. Okay, so we've created that delivery job here. It's job number 17623. And we can see that there's a backhaul that's might be near that delivery location. So I'm just going to open up this backhaul job. This is for a different company called Latest. We can see that the backhaul is from a pickup location called Estate Well. So I can just click the view on map button and it'll bring me right to the map to show the pickup and drop off locations. So that actually looks really close to the Koala Energy job that I just created. So instead of or it makes sense for me as a dispatcher to combine the delivery and that backhaul together so that my truck is not coming home empty. So I'm going to click these two jobs and just group them together. And now we have a group here. So now I want to find a truck for this job. So Hotshot 87, they look really close to those locations. They have schedule availability. So when I'm ready, I'll just drag and drop it down to that truck. Okay, so we've assigned it to Hotshot 87. Now I'm going to open up the IronSight mobile app over here on the right-hand side. And you can see that those two jobs that we've assigned are there. So I'll open up that first job, which is the delivery. You can review all of the information and press start. I can get driving directions to the pipe yard and the well if I need it. And you can see that that big blue button that guides workers what to do next is saying you need to fill out a job form. So I'll tap that, and we need to fill out a JSA because my dispatcher admin set up that requirement. So we can fill out a digital JSA, press submit. Now the next action that I can do is to complete the job. So I'll slide to mark it as completed. I'll put in my billable line items like truck hours. Hit save. And now the job is completed. And the next recommended action is to collect a signature. So let's say that the company man or the approver is right on site there. I can go and collect their signature. So we can choose from a saved user list, or we can type in a brand new name. So let's just say brand new is the name of the person here. And we can type in their email address and then get them to sign and then hit save. So the signature that they just provided is shown right there on the job down below. And you can see that there's a little green check mark next to the line items indicating that the person who signed saw that line item and it's remained unchanged. Okay, now I'm going to head over to estate well number 1 before I head home because there's something that I could backhaul. So rather than drive home empty, I'm going to go grab this load as well. So I'll start that job, fill out my JSA, slide to mark that completed. Again, I'll enter in my billable line items, save, collect the signature. And as the driver, I'm done for the day. So I'm just gonna minimize that and move on to the next feature we want to show you that we've added. So we can see, I'm just gonna filter to find completed jobs. And I'm gonna add this job here, 17619, to a batch. So batches, again, are very much like our invoices. So we'll click this checkbox, update this job, and add it to a batch. So the one I've been working on building up this one here, 7882. So I'm going to click that existing batch, and we've added that job to it. So again, batches are very much like invoices. We can see the number, a memo, an invoice date, terms. We can see each job that belongs to it, as well as the dollar totals for each of those jobs. And at the bottom, we see the grand total for that batch. So I'm a supplier who uses QuickBooks Online, and I want to get this batch into that system. So I can download the CSV, which will give me an import ready file, which will really speed that up. And prior to this bulk download feature, this new button that we've added right here, I would have had to open up each job individually and then pressed download PDF. Then I would move on to the next one and download that one as well. So we just got feedback that that was a bit too tedious, and we wanted to introduce a feature to make that more efficient. So we can see that we have 4 jobs on this batch, but there could be, meant like 19 or something. So all at once we can click download PDF, and it will create me a nice file that includes every single job within that batch. So just really speeds it up for the billing admins who need to get this into the different systems. So I'm going to jump into QuickBooks Online now, and I'm going to click Import Invoice. I'm going to grab that CSV file that IronSight just gave me. I'm able to choose my date format and then apply some tax and then start the import. And now we've created that one invoice. So let's go take a look at it. Here it is, 7882. And just to show you how the data is mapped over, you see the customer, their billing address, terms, invoice date. All the line items that existed on those jobs are shown as lines on the invoice. And now when I want to drag and attach my PDF backups, I can just grab that file that IronSight gave me, and there we go. So this is, again, that bulk downloaded PDF file that we created. Yeah, so that's what we wanted to show you today.
Hey, Adam, we got a request to show another, how you can create a new batch and add it to it, please. Maybe just a quick one, review that one.
Sure. So here's the other job that we did, the Koala Energy one. This one doesn't belong to a batch yet. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can click on that job, and in the top right corner, update that job, add it to a batch. So you can see your existing ones down here. So you can search and add it to an existing, or you can create a brand new one. So I'm going to create a brand new one. My last invoice in QuickBooks was 7882. So following that sequence, I'll just create 7883. Put the payment terms as net 30. Here's my memo. And then create that batch with that one job. If you want to put many onto that batch that we just created, let's go find ones that are filter to find ones that are not batched yet. And let's say we only want it for one customer. Why don't we do let's find operations, and let's add all of these to a batch. So you can see there's a column for batch, and none of these jobs have one yet. So I'm going to select them all, update these, add it to a batch, and then select this one here. And now I've added 9 to that one as well. You can also just do it right from the job itself. So I can click on this completed job, and then there's a button right here to add it to a batch. So I can click that and do it from this as well. So yeah, for those guest suppliers that are interested in upgrading to this Pro to work with all of your customers, unlock those ticketing and invoicing features we reviewed, unlock digital safety and inspection forms, real-time analytics. So I guess I didn't show that either. I'll just quickly bounce back. I don't know, I'll leave that for another time, but you do have real-time analytics. And then when you're ready to make that upgrade, visit this site again, ironsight.app/upgrade to pro. And there's this button here to start a free trial. So let's click that. You'd fill out this really quick form and press sign up. And within a few minutes, you'll start to see those new features be available in the UI. And you'll be able to connect to the other clients that you work with. Okay, so we actually have one of our pro suppliers that recently started using IronSight. So I'm gonna pass it over to her and she can share some of her experience and how it's gone since she's got onto this pro package.
Okay. Hi, my name is Dayanara Aguilar. I am a logistics and operations manager for Henry Hill. I've been in the company since January this year, and I've been using IronSight since. Um, well, one of the things that has been very useful for us using this pro plan as being creating jobs is now way more easier for us. There's more organization in the company. um, I was telling the team that, or like, there's a team, we are all abroad, and um, what I like about this is like it's like crystal clear for our CEO. He can come in and see all the jobs that we're doing, not even asking me how we're doing. He can go and see by himself um, what kind of jobs we're doing, who's doing it. If you click in there, I would like to share my screen, but was not. I can't. I don't know why, but I will share that. You can see a map, and that's also useful because we can see where our drivers are going through. And I think dealing with drivers, we all know it's a hard thing. So having that kind of GPS on the app is pretty helpful for me. Um, Adam also mentioned batches. Recently, I have to do weekly reports for accounting and also to our CEO. And having batches has been helpful because I can just create like the amount, how much are we making for, let's say, hydrovacs, this amount for, or per company, how much we're making for this company the whole month. So it's pretty easy just to go select the company in the filters, and then having having that in one batch, and then you can easily switch it to another batch. Like, I do that all the time. I have multiple batches that are just for me, and I just add a one job or multiple jobs to different batch depending on what I want to see. Like week 1 of the month, I have a batch for week 1 for a certain company, and then I have one for all the hydrovacs performed for that company, so I can see easily how we're doing. And it's like that makes so easy the job, especially for me, for what I want to do. And then if we want to, as Adam mentioned, if we want, we can add that when the customers ask us for a statement or like a job, or how many jobs we're done for the week, I can just add a batch and then download a PDF with that information. And it's so clear to see who performed how many hours, like just basic information for them to understand. Is nothing like complex. Also, well, leading there, or step 2, invoicing, we can download, we don't use QuickBooks, but we use NetSuite. And we try to make that uh, pretty much the same way. So we download a CVS with information, we just clean it up a little bit, and then we can just submit that in NetSuite, and you will create like a bunch of invoices in minutes. That's also something helpful because it's nothing missing in the process. Um, and we used something else that where it's very useful in there. Like it's so the system is very like flexible. Like you can use that for many things. I see you show for SCADA, but we use that for like all other operations, and then we can use tags to organize the jobs. We can put the tags to say this is invoiced, or there needs to be, like, especially I use the tags to tell my team what to add, like I need a full ticket there, or need to collect the signature, or need to fix this price. So as I say, there's a bunch of things that has been adding, and I see that the app is in constant improvement. So I think that's great. Um, and I think that's pretty much what I have. And I would like also to say, like, for other apps or supports that we like, companies that we work with, has been really hard. the just the customer support. And I like to say and recognize that IronSight do have a great customer support. After that we start using, we don't feel alone at all. We don't understand. We gather a bunch of people, and we can get training on anything that we think we need more support on. So just to complement that, and it's kind of what I have for you.
And thank you, Dea. That's it's great. We appreciate the honesty, and it shows the versatility. Let's go over to, I think, Mr. Visser.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So today I'll be covering our public API and our integration capabilities, and walk through a case study of a customer who recently took advantage of our integrations to connect us with their IBM Maximo system, where they have their maintenance work planned. So our public API enables developers to connect to other systems. So if you haven't heard the word API before, it's just a generic way for us to, for developers to access IronSight system. And it's an area of active development for us. We want to continue to make this public API easier to use and support more and more integration scenarios. You can see I took I clicked on our web page here, and you can join along by going to ironsight.app/integrations, and it shows just a bunch of different integration scenarios that might be interesting for your company. And so typically what we see is that our integrations or our public API is used to either create work from a maintenance system or something similar, or to take data that's tracked in the field in IronSight and bring it into other systems, which might include an analytics platform, production accounting, or invoicing. So for more information, you can take a look at our website. But for today, I'm going to focus on the maintenance problem in a little bit more detail. So if you have experience with systems like Maximo, SAP, or Dynamics, you'll find that these systems are tracking your preventative and corrective maintenance work, but it's difficult sometimes to get everything that's required done. Backlogs tend to grow over time. And oftentimes what we see is that companies will spend more time on reactive work because those are the urgent tasks that they have to deal with. And so you spend less and less time on the preventative side. All the while, you might have trouble getting that backlog into the field. Your field workers may have capacity, and you may have suppliers that are ready to work, but you're struggling to get that work out there. So we see this a lot, and it's not just maintenance either. You may have many great systems which are just full of operational data or the plans that you have, and it's a struggle to get that executed. And it's not just on the creation side, but it's also about bringing the field data back, like I said, for that accounting, analysis, and reporting. So we focus on the field, and we have a ton of tools that we've developed over the last many years now that make field work easy and effective. IronSight gives you insight into the real-time progress of your teams, like Adam was showing, gives you that great drag and drop scheduling experience. And we have an offline capable mobile app, which is very effective at getting that work out to the field. And ultimately, we focus a lot on our flexibility. As you can see, we want to integrate with any of the systems that you have in place. And we also want to work for any of your workflows. So that's an area that we're always developing on, making sure that IronSight is always easy to learn and simple to use. So in terms of what we've seen, I just wanted to highlight a few examples. One client was able to work through a backlog of over a few thousand jobs and get that down to just a handful in just over a year. We've seen this a couple times with similar other deployments. Another client started to track which jobs created production loss and deployed IronSight to optimize the field execution. And they were able to reduce the time to fix by over 3 times in less than a year. Another thing that we tend to see is reduced carryover and compliance with plans. So this is a chart just showing work over a few months. And in this case, they've dramatically reduced the number of late jobs by a half. Next, through the various tools that we've developed, we make teams faster. And there's less data entry, eliminating paper. There's better communication between the field and office. You can see more information real time, whether that's the location of resources and also the progress of tasks in order to make faster and more effective decisions. So let's get a little bit deeper on Maximo. So for a recent customer, they were keen to adopt IronSight to take work out into the field, but didn't want to change their planning process. So work orders get created as they always have. And so in Maximo, you create your work order and you break down your tasks for each step and also for each trade. That happens the same as it did before IronSight. And the same thing with the approval process. It still all happens the same. But eventually that work order transitions into a waiting to be scheduled status in Maximo. And once it reaches that status, jobs are created automatically in IronSight, one for each task on the work order. And if we take a look at what that looks like in IronSight, we can see all of the important information is available and that the field doesn't need access to Maximo. The job has a detailed work description, including where you need to go and parts, information about which parts need repair, and also required reference documentation that might include manuals or schematics or warranties. And it also shows information that helps prioritization, like when the job is due and its priority. And if you need it, there's also all the same cost coding information, including GL account, major, minor, and so on, that are required. So, and of course, it's easy to go and take a look at the job in IronSight and know which work order and task it originated from in Maximo. So these work management systems have pretty complex location hierarchies. And in IronSight, we handle that location hierarchy. We have a very similar system. And the thing that we focus on as the field platform is making sure that the field worker is getting to the right site. That could be a building that they need to travel to, or it could be a well site, for instance. And so when drivers are reviewing their daily queue, and even coordinators in schedule view, we make sure to emphasize where they need to go, where they need to drive to. And this helps field workers get to the right location so they don't make mistakes. And it also helps them effectively organize their work. So once you're at the right site, of course, we do have that asset level detail to make sure that the location and parts are clearly identified in order to make sure the work happens as specified. And we embrace Maximo or these other systems being the authoritative record of especially the maintenance work. So anytime that changes, these work orders or tasks change in Maximo, we make sure that new attachments make their way into IronSight, cost codes are updated, any of the details are updated. And so IronSight always remains in sync, even making these jobs available to the driver when they're offline. And of course, we all know what happens in the real world. Work gets interrupted. Repairs may turn out to be more difficult or require additional material. So when a work order is no longer ready for work, that change happens in Maximo. So it might be updated to reflect that it's waiting for material. That automatically causes the job in IronSight to be archived so that it won't be worked on. And when the work is finally ready to be resumed in Maximo, that status changes. And of course, the IronSight job reappears. As Adam showed, and it sounds like a lot of you are quite interested in this, the schedule view, like this is an area we've focused a lot on. We've designed IronSight to make this coordination piece very easy. So when the schedulers are planning the next day, they can use our user-friendly schedule view to make those decisions. And it's also possible to easily see what's happening to make those game time decisions too as things change, because you're able to see where everyone is and also the progress of their work. So when the driver starts their day, they're going to see a queue of work in the app. As that work is updated, of course, we have the push notifications that make sure they're aware of those changes. But everything they need to perform the work is in that IronSight job. And if they do need clarification, we have chat and commenting features to get clarification from coordinators. And we also, we spend a lot of time making sure the interface is very easy. So the driver actually is able to track their work duration just by starting and completing the job. And they don't have to fill in a lot of fields, unnecessary fields. So eventually the field worker closes out the work, attach the necessary documentation, and they may fill a few forms, like, for example, a site deficiency report. This can be adapted to whatever you need in your workflow or your digitization strategy. And of course, so once that job is completed by the field worker, in order to get that right back to Maximo, the responsible party who's responsible for getting that sync to happen is going to review completed IronSight jobs. They may make some corrections or even ask for more information from field workers, and they can add notes and detail. But once they're happy with that information, they're going to approve that job. And that's going to automatically, again, like without copying any information, that's automatically going to trigger the Maximo task to be completed. And attached is going to be any of the documentation the field worker added over the course of the work, as well as the duration and who performed the work, as well as any additional operational data you require. So the workflow I just touched on, that's kind of the picture, the standard picture that we have for maintenance type systems. And that was for Maximo, but it's very similar for other systems as well. For example, for SAP. And some clients but I want to point out that some clients prefer IronSight to be used for capturing service requests from the field if there's certain corrective work that needs to happen. And in this case, we handle this too, right? Requesters can create jobs using our mobile app, and we would make sure that the new work that's collected in IronSight is also reported in SAP or another system, just to make sure that that system remains the source of truth. And the rest of the prioritization and scheduling process that I just reviewed would remain the same. And of course, it's not just work management. IronSight can simplify the data flow to production accounting, invoicing, and analytics platforms in conjunction with systems where that work originates, like Maximo. And this is especially important if you assign work to suppliers, right? So by having the supplier executing the work in our platform, this gives the producers the real-time visibility into the progress of the work and field data. But also it helps funnel the data, that operational data that we talked about, to the right system according to your workflow. So integrating with Open Invoice, I think this question came up earlier. We're able to integrate with these common systems, whether it's Open Invoice, Ariba, Prodman, ProdView, and so on. And you're able to improve the quality of the data, get it faster, and avoid that manual entry. And we know that there's a lot of alternative apps out there. If you're on Maximo, there are some field level applications that exist. What we've found, though, is that the result of using these mobile apps for these work management systems, that it forces field workers to have many different apps on their phones, especially on the supply side if you have many clients, of course. So by using IronSight, by adopting IronSight, it allows us to unify the work coming from many different sources and becoming that one app that you need to get work done in the field. So by integrating with IronSight, you can significantly reduce that non-productive time by eliminating the manual data entry. And IronSight enhances your existing systems. We don't, we're happy to embrace the other systems that you have in place and those that you've invested lots of time and effort into. And you will have with IronSight that real-time visibility into the progress of the work that you're doing, as well as how your team is performing. And of course, there's a ton of additional features that Adam and Matt have covered already that you take advantage of as well by adopting IronSight in this way. So with that, I'll leave it here. Thanks so much for your time, and I'll hand it back to Sean.